Hello, hello. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I hope. Um, yes. Hello, everybody. Um, Welcome to the Rooftops of America live stream. And I hope you're all doing really well tonight. It's been a minute, a couple weeks, and I hope um, your summer is going well. We are definitely in the back half of summer, and hope your high pointing adventures are progressing and you're hitting all your marks and doing the fun stuff. Um, the beer I chose tonight, this was not intended, but it feels like my life right now, is Evil Genius's Adulting Guava IPA. Pretty good. It's not bad. I wish it had a little more guava in the forefront than it does, but overall, definitely feels like how things are going right now. Adulting, and a lot of it. So, to answer your question, Pretzel, I'm doing all right. Um, it's been a couple in very intense weeks over the last month at work. So it's to the point where I have I'm tired. It's been hot. We had that nice little break though. I will say, like it was god awful hot for a while there, and then the cold front came in and everything sort of came down to normal. But it's supposed to get hot again this week too. Um, I haven't done any high pointing elements since the last time we talked, the last time we spoke, other than California is sitting in my docket. I got a couple little things to do to it, and then it should be out the door. So hopefully, what is it, the 10th? Hopefully, maybe, by this coming weekend, definitely next weekend, California will be available. It's been a year since we did it. It's hard to even believe, like um, that was a year ago already. But yeah, so that's just been how things are. Um, haven't really got much in the way of like little hikes, stuff like that. But it has been a super quiet summer for me in relation to that. Um, yeah, it's it's very reminiscent of a way of like how things were in 2020, where all my plans got dashed and thrown aside, and it feels like that. Um, though we don't have a pandemic looming over us, and I've been investing my time, a lot of it, into the whole Fearsome Critters series. I know that's not part of this particular series, but it's. Um, I will always probably talk a little bit about it because it is near and dear to the heart, and that's where a lot of my energy has been going in lately, is writing those stories and making really good progress on it. So I do know I have things to finish up in relation to this series, and definitely the whole series Investa final episode of Rooftops of the Solar System that has been sitting out there waiting to be finished since 3 years. It's been a while. It's been a minute. I really need to finish that one up. Um, and that is probably the next major thing I will film is that. So even plans of going to New York City and knocking that down, I feel like I'm a broken record. I feel like if there's anything about these last couple live streams, I feel like I keep hitting the same marks, which it's sort of unfortunate. I'm trying to keep my spirits up in relation to that. In some fun news, there was a link, or there was an Axios article. Um, Here, I'm going to post it in the chat too, where at least the channel got a shout out, which was pretty fun. Um, There it is. I put it right there. They reached out originally for a picture of Campbell Hill. They went in a different direction with a different photo, but the Rooftops of America channel did get a shout out, so that was nice to hopefully drive some new folks to see the series and check it out. Went on a trip this weekend to Indiana Dunes National Park. I got the High Point. That's awesome. Congratulations. Um, I'm going to have to go there at some point. Perhaps the next time I actually make the journey back to Wisconsin, I might have to stop in at Indiana Dunes. So, yeah. So that's where we're at. It is almost the middle of August, which means we're in the heart of everybody's big major trips usually. At least this is usually the heart where mine is. Like, and I feel it. Like, I feel like I should be out somewhere. I should be out west. I should be climbing something. And I'm not. And that's just the way things are. So the good news is I keep trying to um, I keep justifying it by every so often looking at my bank accounts and being like, hey, at least the money number is going up in some places instead of like, oh, I'm going to spend $1,000 and go do this adventure. So that's how I'm rationalizing it to myself. Hey, Ron, glad you're here, man. I've not done much this summer either. A lot going on and too hot to hike. And it has, like, God, a couple weeks ago, man, at work, I have to go in these days. Um, in the office I go into, I like to take a break. So when I have my breaks, I like to go for a quick little walk. And wow, even at like 9 in the morning, 90 degrees, just walking out, it reminds me of um, the few times I've been like in the deep, deep south um, in the height of summer where it's just so humid. There are times where it actually even reminds me of back like Liberia, 6 degrees off the equator hot. And you're just like instant, just soaked. So yeah, hiking has been, I'm looking forward to the autumn. I'm looking forward to September and October to actually get in some decent hikes and do some fun stuff. I'm thinking I'm gonna pump Jersey back up to the top for a reef shoot. Um, Considering shot that in 2019, and that was one of the last ones I filmed with the shotgun mic. If you go back and watch it, the length is decent, but the sound quality is wretched because it's all blown out. It was so windy. So I'm thinking I can go back and do that with a lav mic. Um, Pretty much film it, maybe add a little bit of stuff, but mainly shoot it straight up. Um, and that will be something. Um, I'm thinking of nominating, or maybe now in Texas in a 2027 convention. Do you think that could win the vote? Maybe. Uh, I feel like you got to nominate El Paso, or you nominate Carlsbad. One of the two, because otherwise, like there ain't nothing around Guadalupe Peak that could support a convention. I don't think Del City's got what it takes, but Carlsbad would. Plus, then people could also do the Carlsbad Caverns. And at the other side of that long stretch of road, you got El Paso. And El Paso definitely could support a convention. It's, and people could potentially do some, in addition to Guadalupe Peak, they could go, they really wanted to branch out, they could probably do some hikes in the Delaware Mountains, the Franklin, the Oregon Mountains. So, um, Yes, yes, you're absolutely right about Port Jervis. Um, in fact, part of the reason I've always wanted to go back and refilm it is because that tri-point. I want to get better sound off that, like that tri-point. It's so noisy because you got the interstate literally almost running right over the top of it. But yeah, so Elks Bronx Memorial Park. I don't think I've been to Elks Bronx Memorial Park though, so I will definitely take a note on that. Um, I'd like to find a couple areas also um, where you could do um, a couple areas where I could fly the drone a little bit and get some decent drone footage of High Point, New Jersey. So I know you can't fly in the park. I I should double check that, but I'm pretty sure Jersey has state park restrictions. Speaking of drones, I actually got to go back in the next couple of weeks before September and recertify because it's been 2 years since I got my pilot's license for unmanned aerial systems (UAS), and it is time to retake the test and recertify so I can keep my credential. So I'll probably have more on that for those who would that are interested in pursuing that sort of angle. It says my connection is unstable. If I just cropped or just popped out, it just said things where my connection was unstable. So I apologize. So let me start over. Um, I got to retake my certification, and I'll probably have more on that in a couple of weeks about that whole process. What recertifying was like. I think recertifying is supposedly a whole lot easier than the original test. Let me see. Pecos River Village Conference Center. I'll have to look that up, see where that actually is. Do you think the HEC would be open to Guadalupe for the feast? Um, I think the HPC might be. I don't know about how the national park will feel about it, but I'm pretty sure, like most things, that all can get sorted out. So that's probably the biggest challenge, is um, because it is a national park, um, coordinating with that entity. But I do think Guadalupe Peak, especially if you were to hold it later in the year, I don't know how would feel about something that at the beginning of October. But I do think it's such a cool place. I love Guadalupe Peak. I've made that abundantly clear in numerous live streams how much I love that place. Um, I also know, when we were there in June, even driving through, it was hot, like ridiculously oven baking hot. So that's something to consider as well. That shouldn't that shouldn't slow it. It shouldn't make that shouldn't be the only factor though that choice is predicated on. So anyway, certification for what? Unmanned aerial systems, drone pilot. I got my FAA cert 2 years ago, so it is time to recertify. So retake the tests and all that jazz. So like I was saying, I'm not sure, but no, I think you should put Guadalupe Peak forward. Why not? I don't think we. I think it should be considered. So, Ultrastar, glad you're here, man. Um, that warms my heart to know I'm like the only live stream you try to go and catch. That warms my heart. Um, God, I feel the pressure to make it entertaining. Drink. I'd be curious. I know, Pretzel, that you are very that you know which peaks have never hosted one um, a lot better than I ever will. Um, So I think it's a good idea. I think you should put Guadalupe Peak forward. Um, just such a niche thing I'm into. I've been watching. Warms the heart, man. So I was just talking about 2020, how 2025 this summer feels really reminiscent of the summer of 2020, where all my plans just went. So, but I'm hoping to salvage. I'm hoping to salvage a fall. I'm hoping to salvage um, New York. That actually I should be able to do. I'm hoping to salvage New York. I'm hoping to redo New Jersey, and I still think I could get that Kansas trip that I had originally planned for March and make that real. So we'll see. Um, I also have a inkling that I'm going to have to get back to Wisconsin to see my folks and family sometime in the next couple months. And if that happens, then going up and doing Minnesota becomes a whole lot more real. So, oh, they have done a Texas convention for 1990. Wow. I think that convention, I mean, I bet you, I bet you John Mitchell or Stony Burke, some of those old stalwarts that have been around almost since those days. I bet you they would have the numbers for that. So, if anything, I'd say at most, I'll be generous, 25 people. 25 people at the fourth convention. So maybe I'm underestimating, but hey, Eric, how you doing? Doing Boundary Pecan with it. Congratulations. I look forward to your experience on Boundary. Um, I wish you minimal frustration through the scree, and I hope you have a successful summit on Wednesday. I'm sure you're going to rock it. You rock them all. Um, but yeah, so as anybody who tackles Boundary, it's the screen, man. That's the frustrating part. Once you see that, it's not so bad. But that screen, whew, um, that is the two steps forward, one step back sort of stuff. So, um, and I think I've said this too. Like my whole Boundary experience, the most frustrating part about Boundary was actually coming down um, that last core or that. So I've always broke it up into four parts. So you got the part through the scree, get to that saddle, and then you do the rest of it, the scramble. And then you come back down, and that descent through the scree field again. That's the part that just. But I went through Crane Mine. There's other approaches. So, um, uh, yeah. Nathan Ritter, is that Alan? I do not know. I recognize the name Alan Ritter. At least it's familiar, but I'd need more context. I'd have to do a little research. So, anyway, yeah. So, excuse me, a little smudge on the screen there, real quick. So, let's see. Coming up, rest of August, my plans. Like I said, recertify my drone license. Get another Fearsome Critters episode out, episode 4, for those that might be paying or keeping score at home. Of all the things like that has sort of kept me motivated throughout the summer is the fact that that's going okay, and has been rewarding. Um, New York, Archie's probably like, yeah, I'm not going to believe it till it happens, but um, I'm thinking New York, September, October. I'm pretty sure that's a there's a there's a autumn in New York is a poem or a song or something. But that's how we're going to do it. Go back and do Jersey, and then perhaps in late September, early October, maybe October, Columbus Day weekend. Um, go do Kansas and get that knocked out. So, um, hike with Mike. Hey, hello from the swamps of Florida. I'm glad you're here, man. Um, I was just actually speaking of fearsome critters again. Sorry, I know this is Rooftops of America, but I can't help myself. I not too long ago I wrote a Florida cryptid story for one of your cryptids down there. And it turned out pretty good. So I'm doing Queen Mine. I attempted Boundary last year, but I had to turn around because of storm rolled in. Oof. Well, I hope for better success. And props to you for being smart and turning around last year. I know it's rough. I know it's hard. God, it's so hard sometimes to make that decision. Um, but way to play it smart, Eric. And like I said, double best of luck then this year for a successful summit. Just talking about 2020? Yeah. Highpointing Ninja started there in my last year of high school, which was crazy. Wow. Youngins. I love them. It's good to have. Um, I like the fact that I think I've seen um, as highpointing continues to grow, it warms my heart to see uh, younger folks. God, I feel so old saying this, but to see like a new generation pick up the mantle and continue doing this ridiculous but fun and rewarding um, adventure. It really is. It's cool, and I love running into folks like that. Uh, Arizona, Michigan, and South Dakota. What do those three states have in common? Well, the flippant answer in me was mining, but that's probably not what you're going for, Pretzel. um, Arizona, Michigan, and South Dakota. I'd have to do some looking up. Are you talking about what do those three states have related in common for their high point? Um, or that's a good question. The famous skunk ape wanders the swamps of Florida. Yes, skunk ape is on the list. I feel though to take another quick turn back into that series because I can't help myself. Skunk ape is right in there with is when I do a Bigfoot thing. Eventually, when I eventually get around to Bigfoot, skunk ape, Bigfoot. I'm trying to think. The Mogollon Man in Arizona. Uh, there's a couple other variants. Like they're all variants of the Bigfoot cryptid. Uh, oh, Ultrastar. I didn't. I need to ask Brett. Um, I did not ask him. I apologize for that. So I will take. I will send a note to him and figure that out before the next one. It is high pointing related. Oh, the only repeat states for the convention. Huh? Really? Wow. Okay. The one I did this. Yeah, yeah. I remember you talking about that on the one of the live streams. Let me find out. Interesting. That is interesting. I could totally see it for. I can totally see that being repeats for the convention for both um, Arizona because Flagstaff's amazing. That's a fun place. There's so much cool stuff around there, and I get it for Rapid City, I guess. Also, a lot of cool stuff. Well, in that particular area in the Black Hills. Black Hills are fantastic. That's interesting. I did not know that, but Michigan up in Baragon Lance. That's fascinating. Um, Weird things happen in the swamps of Florida, dude. No doubt. I feel like um, you could just say weird things happen in Florida, and you would have been fine. I found out the reason for that. Um, why Florida has the reputation it does is because of the arrest records, police reports, and all that stuff is readily made available to the public. I mean, I know most places have their police laws, but in Florida, because of their sunshine laws on that, it's even more so. So, why does weird stuff happen in Florida? Because the information is super readily available. And so I tend to believe that in some ways, Florida is not really any weirder than any other state in this country. It just gets that reputation because those arrests and all those details are more available to the public than other places. So I thought that was fascinating. Yeah, the skunk ape, the original Florida man. Absolutely. I love it. Um, I have yet, I know I've told you this pretzel before, but I have yet to do a convention. There's been a couple that have come awfully close that I should have went to, and I never have. If you're feeling, if you're feeling super froggy for it, pretzel, and you wanted an alternate to put in, I would triple dog dare you um, to put Ebright Asmith, Delaware, in for it, because I think Delaware is one of the ones that's never had a convention. So I do think it would be something. Um, you could actually probably put together a nice little package for Delaware, and you have Ebright Asmith itself. You have DC down the road if you wanted to pick up the district. You have Jersey, not too far away, also for High Point. Um, People were even feeling more ambitious. You got the five boroughs in New York City, and you could even make the journey out and pick up Hoy Crest, Spruce Knob, and Mount Davis as well. Yeah, Delaware wouldn't be an option. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, the my flag bearing for Delaware continues. So maybe at one point I need to show up to one of these and put together a packet. So, um, yay, Delaware. I just stopped in there the other day. Had to go down that way to Brandywine Creek Battlefield, which, for those that are interested in that, um, I don't want to say it's a disappointment, but it definitely has been overshadowed and encroached, and there's not much to it, which I think is super unfortunate. I find that with a lot of, for every Saratoga or every Valley Forge, you have places like Brandywine Creek, um, that are not given um, a fair shake, and little has been done to preserve them. I find that the historian in me finds that a little distressing. Um, Here was one of a major action. I can't remember if it was the largest. I don't think it was. There's something about it. I think there was more people at the Battle of Long Island, but and there's another one right there. Um, Places like that, I feel are we don't have sometimes we don't have enough. How do I phrase this? Respect might not be the right word, but when we had the opportunity to preserve some of this stuff, we didn't. And so, um, yeah, Battle of Fallen Timbers, actually, fascinating battle. And I agree with you totally, Mike, um, that it's does not get the respect or acknowledgement it should at what a keystone battle that was, particularly at that time, um, with expansion, the Northwest Territories, and all that. I do think it's overshadowed for multiple reasons. Um, it's in that interim period between the War of 1812 and the Revolutionary War. I think it was, what, 1795, somewhere around there. Um, but General Wayne, Pennsylvania hero, statue is right. If I'm pointing, if you go that way from where I'm pointing, you'll eventually run into a statue up on the General Wayne Hill in Valley Forge National Park. So where we go sledding every year when it does snow around here. Um, so it's definitely something I feel like. Yeah, you're right, Mike. It's been overlooked. I think Delaware is a parcel of land that is the dismal swamp, despite the state's small size. Um, yeah, I can see that. Delaware's got some interesting little hidden treasures in it. Um, One of my favorite places is, I think it's Bombay Hook National Preserve. If for anybody here that's into like bird watching and all that, that place is fantastic. Highly recommend it. So yeah, Seminole Wars are fascinating. Most of those, like when it was called the Southwest Territory, um, there is some amazingly wild history through there. Back when I was still living in Tennessee, I had um, a plan to actually find the highest point on the Natchez Trace that runs all the way from Nashville down to Natchez, all 440 miles of it. The high point actually isn't that far away from Nashville. I want to say it's just right around where the Highland Rim cuts around the southern part. Um, is that rim that is in central Tennessee? So let's see, Pretzel. I had another high point quiz back up there. Kentucky, Idaho, Florida, Alabama. What high point thing do those have in common? It is not high points that I've. If Idaho wasn't in there, I could safely say they were high points I've climbed, but it's not that, because Idaho's there and I haven't done that. That was supposed to be this year. That was supposed to be now, um, and that has not happened. So that's a good question. I don't. Good question. I'm curious on what the answer is. So anyway, I've rambled a little bit all over the place tonight. So I appreciate your patience, and I'm going to wrap this one up a little early because, like I said, work is there is they've never had conventions in Vegas. Are you? Hold on. Okay. Kentucky out of. I find that they never had a convention in Alabama actually really interesting. That one, of all of those on that list, that one seems would be the most amenable to hosting one. Just Chiao Mountain State Park literally has those facilities on the summit. Like, you could host the convention up there and it could support it. That's really interesting. I could see you could do it in Kansas. I think if you did it up in Goodland. Do you think the parking lot could hold everyone's car? Even if it couldn't, they could still do it down in Oxford or Anniston. Like, there's plenty of facilities that are close to it. All right. I know I'm going to wrap. So I was starting to wrap, but I got caught out by that. I apologize. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Bill just jumped on. Hello, Bill. Um, I started getting these on earlier at 8 o'clock. In the future, I will keep it at 8 because, like I said, getting up at 5 in the morning these days and doing the hustle. So, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. And while you're out and about, take care. And like I said, Eric, best of luck. Cheers.